welcome to the Finding Free Thought podcast.
This podcast is funded by you. To support our work, please consider making a purchase from our Free Thought shop. Check out my campsite at campsite.bio/goodresonance, where you can follow me on social media, make a donation, subscribe to my newsletter, check out my essential oils offerings, and grab my restorative teas ebook. Please subscribe to the audio version of this podcast on Apple and Podbean and the video version on YouTube and Rumble.
Be sure to check out my 6-episode sci-fi comedy series, Simon Esler's Dystopian Imaginarium, along with my 60-minute comedy special, Theorize About Conspiracies, and my 3-season hit show, Worlds Within, all on Rise TV. And don't forget to hit up SimonEsler.com for all of my work, to join my newsletter, for links to purchase my NFTs, make donations, and follow me on all social media. You can also join my locals community, Team Free Thought, at teamfreethought.locals.com, where I'll be offering subscribers previews of new sketch comedy material, documentary work, and private broadcasts for supporters only. As a member of Team Free Thought, $5 a month gets you all of that, plus a 15% discount at the Free Thought shop. Okay, so let's start this really quickly by just making very clear where we're coming from, because we are radical unschooling parents.
That's right.
We're extremists in that regard. We believe in life learning. We believe that life wants to teach our children, and our children want to learn, and that adult interference is one of the primary obstacles to the natural unfolding of the human child. So with that said, we are also conspiracy theorists and health freedom advocates. We enjoy alternative medicines and all these things. We live within that space. And so we travel together as a family, somewhat swimming upstream and trying to carve our way as a family unit. And we wanted to focus in this shorter video on some offerings, some discoveries we've made traveling as a family, and regulating ourselves and regulating the family and what it means to be together all the time. That's really been the huge, I would say, radical difference in comparison to how I grew up, which is I go to school, my parents go to work, then we see each other in the evening for a little bit. We go to bed, brief morning encounter, goodbye for most of the day.
Yes. You're in someone else's aura, like a classroom all day.
Yes.
And that's a challenge, but on its own.
As us, as a radical unschooling family, we are in each other's auras every day, a lot of the day. Some people might hear that and be like, ugh, God, what are you doing that's so unhealthy for your children? They're going to be overly attached to you. But a lot of people think that.
Yes. Yes, I know. I've discovered. And that's how I discovered that it was more radical. Like, I'm not even a self-proclaimed radical, but it was because of, like, I was like, oh, this seems normal. Like, this seems, why won't, I was actually kind of shocked when I received and then we received so much backlash for choices, but that's kind of been like a lot of my life and choices. So I didn't think anything of it and kept going, but that's what made it feel radical. Yes. I didn't think it was radical at first, necessarily. It was a lot of the response, and I was kind of in shock, actually.
Yeah.
About some of the responses. I was like, wow. Not even an open-mindedness, curiosity, a not knowing, like all that. It was just like judgment.
Yeah.
So that was difficult, but yeah.
We're outside the culture. This is what happens.
That's what happens. I know.
You carve away outside the culture, then the culture judges you.
Naive.
Or
unassuming or whatever.
We had made the decision very naturally, without a ton of analysis.
Just kind of feeling,
We were both on the same page as parents, as a couple. It was clear to us. We didn't have any big arguments, being like, oh no, he's going to school. Like, there was nothing like that.
It's true, and because it was so easy, I never did think about it too much until I saw it happening with other people's relationships.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but.
Okay, so more people are starting to wake up to homeschooling. I think there's probably more people homeschooling now than ever before.
As the environment at schools changed quite drastically, right?
That's right. So let's parse out a little difference here then between homeschooling, like the gradient of homeschooling to unschooling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just to give people a clearer picture, right? Because there's the homeschooling as a response to lockdowns, let's say, which is uh, try to copy the curricula at school at home.
Yes, sure.
And then you move more into like homeschooling that's more loose, maybe a little bit of that, but more child-led learning.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of that. Seeing a lot of that.
A
Because
lot of
people
that,
are
yeah.
looking for, again, like a lot of healing needs to occur because of what happened. I don't care where on the spectrum you fall of like, you know, awareness or wokeness or or whatever, conspiracy awareness. A lot of healing has to happen. And so to me, it may, you know, in a way, it's a good thing that kids have gone back to their families
Yeah,
because then there's like a certain amount of healing can occur.
it has occurred,
Um,
I would say.
yeah, yeah. And I know it's not good for some kids, right?
Well,
This is,
there's the
but
homes where the
it's
kids were
helping.
stuck in abusive situations. Like, we can
Sure,
go right ahead
sure.
and say that some kids
But
got trapped at home with abusive parents and they needed school and it was terrible for them. Sure,
sure,
we can
sure,
admit
sure.
that. But
But
also, the National
tons,
Fatherhood Initiative has stated that more children
tons.
are with their fathers than ever before because
Yes,
of the pandemic.
yes.
That there was more fathers who connected with their kids, stayed home with their kids. So we
Yeah,
know that there's been
yeah.
this situation where, okay, the family unit is is being pushed to heal and to evolve and to grow. So as an unschooling family, you know, we've really been at the precipice of that in many ways, in terms of already living that way before there were lockdowns, before there was this loss of access to public schooling as a utility for the family. We were already on that path. But so I think part of what we wanted to focus on today was just the regulation of emotions within the family dynamic, and some of the discoveries we've made, and what that really means, because I know when I look at the beginning of our homeschooling journey, or unschooling journey I should say, and what that was like in terms of stress and how it would move through the family, and what it meant to add another child to it, and how that changed, and how it like grows and complexifies. I, there's just like a pressure cooker of mindfulness where it's like, you better get mindful. You better get mindful fast, because
Mhm.
you're with each other all day. And also, like, kids naturally, whoever your kid is, they push upon you, they press upon you as a being, because they have behaviors that are going to test your nervous system, you know, automatically. And that's just like a baseline, in addition to like, who is your kid? And how does your child's specific nature impress itself upon your specific nature? And you have to start to make those discoveries. Or, you know, it's like, does your own kid bring up your own childhood trauma? Sometimes you got to watch for that. So there's a lot
Yes.
of like self study. And I would say that without, number one, without the requisite amount of solitude for each family member, you're going to run
Mhm.
into trouble. And we've
Yes.
really been
Yes.
evolving this a lot lately, making
Yes.
sure we each carve out what solitude means for us. Like, for me, I've been trying to push myself to just go like skateboarding more, just riding around, listening to music, carving out that time for myself. We've been really working to create space for you in the
Mhm.
mornings. You know, you're getting a lot more solitude in the mornings. We have shown Asher what it means to get solitude, what it means for
Yeah.
his mind.
Yeah.
And Idris
He's
just
taken
does
to
it.
it. Yeah.
Idris just does it. He has no problem with
Little
solitude at all.
hermit, little mountains
He has his
hermit.
little mountainous hermit ways. But
He's
so,
pretty good about it. But it's true. He sometimes, as always, we can always get caught up and
well, so we
but
notice with his tiredness that he can't let go when he's near Asher. I had an experiment with this today, and Asher was absolutely amazing. So, because we recently found out that Idris sort of mixes up his body with Asher's body, and he thinks he has energy he doesn't have. And so when it's nap time for Idris and Asher's around, bouncing around, talking nonstop, Idris really can't sort out what it means to let go very easily, at least at this point in his life. So today, it was just me and the kids, and Idris is at this place where he needs the nap. And so I had to encourage Asher, who in human design has an open throat. So for him, he can feel very pressured to talk a lot, constantly, all day. Right? There can be this like yammering of just constant ideas and inspirations, and not, goes and goes and goes, like the Energizer Bunny. And I had to ask him, hey, can you take a break from talking so that Idris can let go, and then we'll keep chatting? And he did it. Actually, he walked in
Amazing.
silence for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes while Idris fell asleep.
Wow.
And I asked him about it. I said, what was that like for you? And he's like, it was like death. It was awful. It was so, I think it was like so intense for him.
Wow.
But him restraining that energy
Yes.
gave Idris the space he needed to let go. Then once Idris had let go, then Asher was able to sort of be more free and bounce around and chat again. But it was sort of one of these moments where it's like Idris needs enough mental solitude to let go. And he can't do that with Asher's ideas spinning around him. And so I think I've definitely made that big discovery. And so families that are taking on the homeschooling challenge, get your solitude in order.
Yes, it's true. It's become very obvious.
Yeah. And it's different for each family member. Asher right now, like sometimes he gets the meditation in, but sometimes it's just sitting and reading a book. Or as he said, that when he's alone in his room and no one's around, he said it feels like he's in the book. Like his imagination deepens. He gets much more
His inner
detail.
vision.
His inner vision expands because he's not feeling the pressure of any other beings on him, on his aura. And so he has these like deep experiences of expansion into his inner
It's pretty
vision
insane.
that he really could never have with another being around.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas, for you, what's it been like for you getting morning solitude a lot of the days of the week as a projector within human design terms?
Yeah. Very helpful. It just depends on my energy fluctuations too. So
But
sometimes
it lets you gauge it for the day, I would say, right?
yes and no. I don't know. Like it's really with the way that my energy is lately, no, like it could disappear. Sometimes I know when I'm like, okay, I'll need the morning. I wake up feeling in such a way. But it could be the afternoons. Often, actually, in the morning, I feel somewhat more energized. I do go through random cycles like a lot of people do, but it's usually like the afternoon when I generally feel more. I've always kind of been like a morning person who feels like driven in the morning. And I don't know if that's what my defined route, like, it's ready to go when it's in it, when it's healthy and in its proper surge. Um, I would say that's sort of my thing. Like, I feel like getting up early and having time to myself, like even before anyone is awake, is nice.
While everyone's 5-centered.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, because even the sound of people can have things go on and it's distracting. But you still have to get good at it, right? Like being in a place and like even having moments. Sometimes like taking the smallest moment possible for like to try to I know being if you can just step away, if you're outside and your kid's at the park, you're not in aura with them. Use that
get out of each other's
opportunity
auras.
very, very wisely.
Okay.
Like do some self-care in that moment. Like I usually do like oils, acupressure, deep breathing. Obviously if it's a social setting, maybe just like I still do acupressure. And while I'm talking to someone sometimes or a little self-massage, like
Yeah. You have to get efficient at the little bits of self-care.
sometimes, but even still, like stepping away from everyone so that you can just be. But you can definitely get those moments at a park.
But let's go more deeply into the out of aura in aura concept, because that's been super helpful for me, recognizing an actual need for physical distance. I'll bring it back to actually Asher and Idris again, because the way we made the discovery of Idris being able to nap properly was really getting Asher out of Idris's aura and Idris out of Asher's aura. We'd be on family walks and just get Asher to walk ahead, 20 feet? Roughly?
Yeah, something like that.
Just to give people an idea of what it means to get out of aura, right? Because there's certain ways that we pressure each other being in each other's auras. And we notice this even in our house. Our house is big enough that we can get out of each other's auras. Some people don't have that.
Yes.
Some people live in very contained spaces, and I think families should take note. What does your home allow in terms of getting actually physically out of each other's auras so that you can gather that form of
Yeah,
solitude?
you might just need to go for a walk or go for a drive or
Yeah.
uh
But
there's
like you
many
said, if you're
options,
at the
many
park with your
options.
kid,
Then
your
walk
kid's on the
away.
slide, you walk away, get out of their aura.
Yes.
Actually recognize that this is a true
Walk
ritual.
away.
Walk away from the child, get out of their bubble.
If you can.
You know, obviously sometimes you gotta hover, whatever.
Or you're playing.
Yeah, or you're playing with them, whatever. But
Yeah.
you have to take stock of those moments when you get out of your child's aura.
Mm-hmm.
Take the opportunities, seize them.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been doing that more when I'm like, I just want a physical break.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can easily be obtained even in a place like a library where,
Yep.
you set the kids up with a few books and just get out of their auras and let them be in their own auras.
Yeah.
Let them not be influenced by you. And this is like actually a huge concept in terms of removing the amount of adult interference, that knowing that your capacity to interfere is automatic via your physical presence. If you're in your child's aura, you're interfering. Even if you have no intention, just your presence automatically gets into their aura and alters the way
For
they
better
function.
or
right?
worse.
Yeah, it could
right?
be supportive.
Because
Absolutely.
like we also do need conditioning. So just a reminder, because most of us talk about conditioning as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's part of our schooling.
It's helpful to remember in our deconditioning process, our like letting go of things that aren't us, and like even reparenting and like all of that stuff. To remember that, yeah, it's purposeful. Like the family conditions itself. Like in a Penta, we condition each other so that we can like genetically advance.
And just to give
This
people
is
a sense here, a Penta is basically like the superorganism that the family becomes through the lens of human design.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's when
It's how the aura behaves.
Yeah, the family generates its own sort of collective aura.
It's a transauric,
a transauric being in a sense.
It's like a different form.
And we will be speaking about that more. But the family as a superorganism is already a thing.
But yeah, so you can have these opportunities, and it's really great actually to watch. For example, like watching your toddler or watching your kid who at any age, how they are by themselves or even interacting with others, and then like when you engage with them and how they might be different. Like when I was growing up, my parents said on many occasions about us, and at some point like, oh, you act so differently with your friends, or when you're with so and so, or when you're with so and so, and it was like a bad thing. And so you're like, what? Like this idea that like you're suddenly going to behave the same around everyone. So this is another thing about like human design and like the beautiful intricacies that it can show you about like how unique you really are, and how everyone was just trying to tell you that you should be like, there's a set of social rules that everyone follows, no matter what relationship it is. Like it's odd. I always thought, but I never understood, and so things like that would be said, and of course, as kids, you're like, what? You just feel bad. You just feel shamed, and you don't taking heat for understand.
Being, spending so much time with my friends, and why are you trying to be with
them
more
than
you're
trying
to be with your family?
Right?
And
this
now
is
I look
common.
back and I'm like, I wonder what being in my family's aura meant for me.
Yeah.
Versus being in my friends' auras, and what relief it gave me. There could have been certain forms of pressure on different chakras.
Absolutely.
That my parents
different
created.
Connections.
And then maybe there was relief when I was with my friends. They would relieve that pressure on certain chakras and channels in my body. And, the way we impact each other it's so immensely subtle and dynamic. It's like just by literally, like, and this is crazy too, just as a brief tangent, that's happening in the street as you walk by strangers,
Mhm.
that your auras are overlapping and your chakras and channels in your body are responding
Mm.
to a stranger. It's like the other day I had a bird fly through my aura and I was like, well, what was that really about? What did it mean for that bird's
For
aura
a
to
split
fly
second.
through my aura? Because I know how delicate everything is. It's
Hmm.
so, it's so incredible. But yeah, yeah, really, really helpful, I think, to really nail down this idea of what does it mean to be together? What does it mean to be apart?
It's a way to build awareness of yourself
Yeah,
and of all the individuals in your family so that then you are like a healthier transorg form.
yeah,
So when you watch yourself and what you say and do with your kids as best as you can, and we all make mistakes. So it's obviously about what you do when you make those mistakes too, and watching what you do when you make those mistakes, watching what your mind does when you make a horrible mistake as a parent, because that's going to happen. That's an
it's
opportunity.
tempting to beat yourself up
Um,
terribly, and it's tempting to be super hard on
and that's
yourself.
okay. But
And
watch yourself do it.
watch
Watch
yourself do it.
yourself
But
do
it's
it.
something like you said this earlier before we started this little mini pod blast. Um, that you're not normally fucking up as badly as you think you are as a parent.
That's a generic
You know,
thing I say to people, especially
I
if I
think,
talk
yeah,
to moms who are like newly doing this
yeah.
and or whatever, any mom, you could be doing it for a long time and still feel like you're fucking up. Um, but it's what I tell myself. So I give that advice, that tip. I don't know.
Tips, parenting tips with Amanda.
You're not fucking up as bad as you think.
Yeah. But also, and this is something that I've said, is that to an extent, your kids came here for your fuck up style. Like, there's ways that they're going to interpret your mistakes that you have no control over. And so, some of the medicine or the teachings they might have come here to get from you is the way you mess up and what they do with it. So, it's not in your control.
Hmm.
So, there might be something they're doing internally with your mistakes that actually helps them grow or complete something. Like, you actually don't know. You don't know. You know how you feel about your mistake, you know how you perceive your mistake, but you actually can't control really how your child perceives your mistake. You can't at all. And so,
No.
since you don't have control over the way your child perceives your mistakes, you have to take hold of what you do with them, and then not only how you respond to them, like sort of at the end of the day, but then also just how you own up to your mistakes with them and all that stuff, right? Like
Well,
how
it's
you bring
also
mistakes
important
to them.
for if you really like want to see your child, it's important that you like understand what you're doing in your mind and your junk and your shit so that you can like see sort of how that shows up, how your kid shows up with that you have, that you're like, yes, I know I have these
You mean when they bring a mirror of
challenges.
you to you in their
Yeah.
own behaviors?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um
Especially when you have two kids and you watch, like, the kid trying to mimic your parenting style with the other kid. And you're like, oh, I see that thing that I do that they're now doing to the other kid. Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Or I see why I relied on that, but how it has had a fallout within the little fam jam there.
yeah, it really does. And so, obviously there are many ways to do homeschooling and unschooling, but this is what we mean by radical. We mean like radical self-acceptance, radical self-awareness, and like self-development.
Yeah, radical self-study.
Yeah.
Like the
And
family
so,
unit as the most radical opportunity for self-study
yeah,
ever in
yeah.
existence.
And that does mean being apart, you know? So it sounds like scary, like you're gonna be like, yes, you spend a lot. True, you spend way more time together than school. That is part of it. That's the reason for it. I'm going to be with my kids, and
Yeah.
other people that we grow relationships with and trust, and like, we are on this level, that naturally can occur. But um yeah, this is sort of what I see it as in terms of um radical being individuals, like
Yeah, to
healthy
create a healthier
individuals.
superorganism, really, right?
Yeah.
That I just think that the image of the trans-auric being that the family generates is really totally epic and sci-fi and like totally amazing.
It is
And really
sick. I want to
inspiring
like make a like cartoon of our like a
of our
like a
family's aura.
totem, like a
Yeah. Yeah,
like
totally.
some kind of spirit animal of our family's aura that's
Well,
like so epic.
this is what's cool about what you've been doing in studying all of our family's human design charts, studying the ways they overlap, studying the ways that ours overlap, and the information that starts to provide so that you know what does it mean when we're together as a family? Us
Mhm.
specifically as
Mhm.
beings. What does
Mhm.
that mean? It's hyper specific. So, I think this is a good chance for people to know about the work that you're doing in human design and your new account, because people who are interested should maybe go follow you at Humanly Designed
Yes.
on Instagram.
If you feel interested,
Yeah,
you could
if you
check
feel the
it
call, if you
out.
feel the call, um, check it out, because we're brewing up lots of human design understanding in our family, and you're
It's been good so far.
making some really beautiful, beautiful charts of our family, which I think is really helpful to have. I think getting your kids' human design, getting your human design, and starting to look at the ways they overlap. We did this with Asher's astrology,
Mhm.
and that was really helpful. Like days after he was born, we got his birth chart, mapped it out. Even today, it's so hyper relevant when I look
Yes.
back on what he gave us.
Yes.
Getting that kind of specific information about your children. But human design, I think what it avails us to is how you as beings overlap and create this superorganism, this transauric form that is traveling together. And as things get more insane, I think the family unit is going to become a more important item within the world, a more important force within the world, because
For sure.
we're going to have to rely on family, I think, in deeper ways as things get more chaotic, as the old systems crumble and fall, and that anarchy sort of spins around us. How stable is your transauric form as a family? What are you doing with your solitude, with your time together, with
Mhm.
your radical study of the self within the pressure of your family unit? These are really, really good ways to
Yes, you
look
do
at
need
it.
to take care of yourselves,
Yeah.
like very, very seriously, because all of these things do put a strain on the body, even if it's not actually physical. Like
Yeah.
things like doing all of this work absolutely has a physical effect because nothing is not physical.
Yeah. Yeah. It all trickles down.
So if it's something that you're like releasing, letting go of, like that's not me, oh my gosh, changing habits, changing patterns, like b- becoming aware.
It's physical work to let those things go.
Yeah. And also the awareness itself can be painful.
Yes.
So it is a difficult thing, like because like a lot of us have been experienced trauma in our lives of various kinds. So sometimes like self-awareness, like deep self-awareness things can like bring up challenging times that are very real.
Very physical in the end.
And so, you know, that's unique to each person too, but there is a actual cellular change going on, and so that affects us physically, no doubt. Like there has to be it's physically changing you.
Well, I think what's really super important about what you're saying there is that because it requires a physical change, because even doing awareness work is going to trickle down into like actual body work,
Yes.
then it means it's going to take the time that it takes the body.
Yes.
right?
Which is 7 years.
Even if you're dealing in mental realms, even if it's all like journaling and meditating, it's still, you have to change the physical vehicle. It has to realize those changes. And so with it, when you're dealing with that within the family too, you recognize that, oh, if you notice a pattern in your family that is detrimental, that's draining the family, like these specific kinds of, struggles, like maybe the kids argue in this one loopy way and it drains, has like a domino effect. I think when you set the intention to make a change within that family unit, then you have to realize, like, okay, now all of our bodies have to process that new way. All 4 of our vehicles have to integrate that. And what does that mean? And like, can I be patient with what time that takes, and the varying rates at each family member can integrate changes.
Yes.
You know?
Well, the beautiful thing that we've done, and that is a possibility more so if you're doing unschooling and you're looking at individuals and like trying to meet each person's needs, is that you don't necessarily have to do everything on the same schedule as everyone else, like you would be forced to if you went to public school. So this is an opportunity for us to say, oh, you know what? You have more energy at night. You have more energy in the morning. You have this, you have that. And really just get people what they need more often. Yes, we do have to sacrifice. We're not living in a place where we're all living in total harmony and balance. But this is what we're doing as part of our radical unschooling.
Yeah, so radical.
But anyway, we can get more into that another time, because there is a lot about like what does structure look like
and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes everything. Yeah, absolutely. And we could, of course, we can go on forever with our open heads here. Well, I think that's it. That's all that we really wanted to deliver today. I don't have anything else, do you? No. That's it. That's our little download for being a family unit, self-regulation within the unit, evolving as a family, loving yourself as a parent. Get that solitude. Well, thanks for listening to our little mini episode, and we'll see everyone soon.